Just everybody knows dinner at my wife's sister's is 5:30. What day? Sunday? Good. So everybody's all up to speed. Now we can get on with the DFS, and someone's got to pay for this stuff. Okay, so Bobby's going to be joining us in a few. We had a little bit of late March or mid March weather today. It wasn't a snowstorm or anything like that. We got a little action. So we're going to go over NBA and NHL, and that should do it. I don't think we need to do a preview of the LOL slate, although it's a pretty big 4-game slate, I think, tonight. We'll leave that to DFS Chan to kind of go over. There is like a minus 1,000 favorite on the slate. Probably won't even be the highest owned, but that's okay. We'll deal with that some other time. So let me share my screen and share, because I'm doing it myself, I'm going to do a special treat and share my sheets for today. Entire screen. And this is NBA for DraftKings. So as we were recording earlier, Donovan Mitchell got ruled out, and as I suspected, the top looking guys right now are going to be from Cleveland. Now, when we sort by value score here, that result kind of bears out. And while Giannis and Jokic are kind of near the top, you're getting Mobley and Garland with really, really good scores, as is Beal and Porzingis for Washington. So this could be an interesting slate, because while it might be tempting to go with Giannis and or Jokic because there's some value to play, well, you could argue for a middling type of build. But let's see who else kind of stands out. Now, and these are kind of like to call the good plays, the good players. Garland, Mobley, Porzingis, Bradley Beal, and then Dinwiddie at 7,800, then LeVert at 5K. Carter, Ayton. If you play these guys, you don't necessarily have to dumpster dive into Detroit, for example. Now, when we do sort by point per dollar, that's where you're trolling here, like R.J. Hampton, Rodney Magruder, Omaruri again. Okay, so the point is that you can play the Jokic's and the Giannis's, because you can play Hamptons and Magruders and Omaruri. What happened to what's his name? Did Hayes get ruled out? Is that what's occurred? No, he did not. He's just not really projecting all that well today for some reason, which is very, very interesting to me. Okay, well, what can I tell you? We'll trust it a little bit. And that's kind of the annoying thing, is that I really don't want to play the Detroits. I have a question. This is a question I'm going to be asking of Mr. Bobby when he gets here. The question is, is this Buddy Boeheim? Is that Jim Boeheim's son? Is that who is popping at 5.67x at 3% ownership for Detroit? It could be. Also, as I suspected earlier, Washington, Demi Avdija is going to show up as the top point per dollar play. But the question, but if you play the Washington, you do kind of want to play Detroit's. Maybe take advantage of the fact that maybe Hayes is not projecting all that well, and maybe you play it anyway. Like maybe you play Killian Hayes with a couple of the Washingtons, Avdija, Beal, or Porzingis. I don't know if I could play all three of them, because I just don't think Detroit has enough ammo, right, to deal with a ceiling of both of those guys. If both of those guys get a ceiling, it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies. If both those guys get a ceiling, then they're not going to play a fourth quarter, probably. unless somehow Detroit does like a triple ceiling. So you're really going to need, if you want to play a multiple Washingtons, you're going to need to play, I think, something like Killian Hayes. I mean, that is a tough sell, to say the least. And quite honestly, I mean, I kind of forget who these teams are playing right now. So let me just pull this up here for a second. So Detroit is playing Washington. The spread is still 12. Now, what do you do with the Cleveland? So one thing that's kind of helpful about the Cleveland is that you also have corresponding value from Charlotte, that being Nick Richards. And what's also neat about that is it's corresponding value that is at a different position of the Cleveland value, right? So you play all the Cleveland guys who's not at center. And the reason why is because, Jared Allen was listed at center and he's out. So Nick Richards can be played. And then you could also pick something like who's a kind of a crappy projected guy, like Rozier. Like he's not projected all that great today. So he's going to be low owned. So you could play him alongside of the Clevelands and kind of stack in that way. Now, with respect to who you play with Cleveland, what's kind of neat is that you could play Garland. I think you play Garland and Mobley together. I don't think they take too much from one another. I don't know if I want to play LeVert and Garland together though. But this is a, this is pretty good. These Cleveland guys. I still don't know if I want to do the Lamar Stevens thing though. I don't know. Maybe Bobby was right. Maybe with Allen out, he's just going to play 30 minutes plus. So I just kind of have to use him. I wonder I'm going to run SaberSim. I wonder how many Clevelands I'd be getting if I ran SaberSim. Do you think I'll get 4? You think it'll give me, say, Garland, Mobley, Stevens, and Rubio? Like, if you think about it, Garland's a point guard. Rubio's just a point guard. Lamar Stevens is a small forward. LeVert, what's LeVert? Okoro. I don't think I would get to Okoro. You think it'll get to 3, Clay? LeVert is a shooting guard, so that works. And then Mobley is he's at least a power forward, right? So he's a power forward. So you could, I'll bet you that you get a couple of builds with 4 Clevelands. I don't know if that's necessarily the right thing to do here. But I think because of the positional stuff, I think that's what's going to end up happening. The other thing, let's look at some of these other games. Denver-Toronto is still just kind of, for me, is just Jokic and that's it. And if I fall on Jokic, great. And Lakers-New Orleans. Okay, so is there still pending news out of the... Let me see what's going on over at New Orleans here. I think we still have Ingram listed as questionable. Still questionable. So that is something to actually be on the lookout for, because if he's out, then McCollum becomes a much better play among other things. So that's definitely something that we have to look for is that news. And other news that I neglected to mention that we're waiting on is clearly Dame Lillard. He's still sitting at questionable. And that is also a very, very big deal. So I don't know exactly when that news is going to come out, but if maybe it's worth waiting for. Maybe to push back some plays. But that's the thing. These Cleveland guys are all so good. And it's kind of weird, right? It's only a 218 point total. But I don't know. You put a couple of stacks of these 7 o'clock games up on the board and say, come and get me. Now, the other thing you could do is, let me pull up my pull the DraftKings slate up over here, kind of screw around a little bit. Then we'll do Saberson build. Is you could play something like you could play Shea with Giddy, as I mentioned, not with Giddy, with either Bridges or Dinwiddie, as I said before, and that's something that you can do. Get a little mini stack going out of there. And then, as I mentioned, in the Laker game, you could play Anthony Davis, who I think is, a very, very strong play. Play him at center. And then we just wait a little bit. I think that the only thing it's still disturbing to me that the possibility that Russell might eat up some usage. Russell being a shooting guard helps, though. So if you play just these two, and then let's just say that you can get what's his name? Ingram out. Then you could even do this and play like a whoever would show up, like maybe Najee Marshall or maybe something like that. Or maybe just roll with CJ, and then just fill in the rest with those cheapos that you don't really want to play, but like from Cleveland, like the Lamar Stevens, the Rubios, and then the Detroits, the Amarumis, and the Magruders and all that stuff. So that's another way you could play Trey Murphy, right? So he's not exactly so cheap though. That's the only thing that the Trey Murphy. But let's just see what he is. I see 6,000, but you can still do it, right? With all that other value, this is probably what you would do is something like this. Like if what's his name got ruled out, Ingram. What's Larry Nance? Larry Nance is 3,500. I'm just gonna say that, like Larry Nance is 3,500. Now he only played 5 minutes and 8 minutes, which is a little annoying. It's interesting. I guess we got to wait to some signs that he's back in the rotation. And again, I still want to play Valanciunas, even though he just never seems to get enough minutes to get there. But it would be nice to, if I were New Orleans, I wanted to win this game, and Anthony Davis is on the court. I kind of want to play Valanciunas, but we'll see. Imagine if you did that. I mean, it's just such heartbreak whenever you play Valanciunas. And you can even do this, play those Magruders and that crap. Orlando, San Antonio is just not going to happen. I mean, if anything, like a Wendell Carter, as I mentioned. And the Milwaukee Phoenix, the only way I would play that, like I said, is if you did this, right? So let's clear the decks here. And you play Giannis with either Ayton or Paul or Booker, and then we just kind of fill in kind of the rest, with those types of with the plays that I described. Now you probably want to play one of these Clevelands. This Cleveland is a this Garland's a good play, with no Mitchell in this matchup at 7,900. But you can afford this. You can also play Mobley though. Then you're you could. I mean you could actually do this, but you probably don't want to. Because then you're playing 4 guys under 4K. So if you didn't want to do any of that, and this is again, it obviously depends on if Lillard's playing or not, but I mean you play Lillard and you play Randall. What's Jeremy Grant? Jeremy Grant is questionable. I mean, we just have to wait, right? We just have to wait for some of this stuff. But you play Lillard and you play Randall, you overpay for that. But then what happens if Brunson is ruled out? Then do you play Quentin Grimes? If he plays, do you play Jalen Brunson? This is, and if Lillard's ruled out, then we'll just have to see where projections go. But I mean, it's going to be Ole end for you, right? I mean, you got all kinds of stuff that can pop depending on who starts, depending on who does whatever, and Simons at 6,900 might be a really, really strong play. So, some degree, we have to kind of wait. But yet, on the other hand, you get Cleveland, all these great plays, and Detroit, all these kind of cheapo values. So, let's pull up SaberSim and see what kind of stuff we will build with it, and see what it is. I imagine it's going to do what I said and just pump out a whole bunch of Cleveland, but we will see. Okay, ready? We'll build 150. We will go into 150 full MME mode and see what SaberSim's builds will look like. No, well, as I mentioned, so it's all of it. So look at this. So it's Detroit, Cleveland, Detroit, Detroit, Washington, Cleveland, Brooklyn. It's Dinwiddie, Magruder, Porzingis. So it's really heavy on these value games. As a matter of fact, I mean, look at this. I'm getting no spend ups here. You're getting 22% Jokic, 16% Giannis, 12% AD, 10% Lillard. What you're getting very little of are these middling guys like Rozier or McCollum. Those are very tempting to me. They're very tempting to play guys like this, like D'Angelo Russell, 3%. Remember, Detroit is on a back-to-back, so you just don't know exactly what's going to happen. But if you get Eugene Amorori starting again at 3,800, that's going to be kind of a rough fade, I think. But look, you know what else I'm not getting? I'm not getting any Killian Hayes. Oh, actually, I am. I'd be getting like 14% Killian Hayes. All right. Got all kinds of activity going on in the background right here. All right, let's pull up just for kicks. Let's pull up FanDuel, and we'll take a look at that. And then we'll build some hockey as well. NBA, FanDuel. I want to see if there's any difference really. First, I want to sort by point per dollar, see if anything stands out that didn't before. Nah, it's all pretty much the same. A little more Quigley. And that's not without even knowing if Brunson is out, right? Avdia, Levert, Okogie. I mean, same stuff, right? So let's build with FanDuel lineups and see what that would look like. We will again pull our projections in here. We'll build 150 using the 150 sliders. And we'll see what we get. Well, I promise you we get something, I think, a little bit different. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the same. Okogie shows up as a much better play, as does Devin Vassell and Quigley. So those are the real differences. Okay, let's take a look now for just a couple of minutes at the hockey, and then we will. Then they're going to refine some big buy-ins. You're going to play Ayton? Yeah, it sounds fine. I like that, Griff. I think I think it's a very, very good idea to play Ayton, Dinwiddie, Shea for the flexibility after lock. I like that a lot, actually. Okay. So with hockey, we'll just take a quick look at what the sheets look like, and then we'll build some. We got a real cheapo in Arizona with Brett Ritchie. Something to keep in mind. Duchesne. These are pretty good values. You get, oh my God, there it is, 10K. I was wondering when somebody was going to be 10K. The other thing I will note is that so these are the nut guys. I think the San Jose's. Yeah, these are all really cheap. They're going to be owned, but this is probably where all the value is going to be, is from San Jose. So it's basically spend up for Edmonton and value it with San Jose. I think that's the idea. Because it's funny, when I built earlier, I just got like a 1,000,000% Pittsburgh. But let's see if that's the case with the builds now. And then I will do a hand build for in hockey, and then I'll come back and do a hand build in NBA. So we'll upload. First, we'll see what we get for the hockey. And once again, we'll build 150 just to see what it will look like. Boom. And I wonder what we'll get. I imagine we'll get all the San Jose. I mean, that's what, when I was eyeballing it. But earlier, when I thought I would get something, we ended up getting all kinds of Pittsburgh. So let's just see what we get here. With the new updates, we're going to be getting all the Pittsburgh again. Not quite sure I get it. I guess it's because you can just get to them really easily. Here, when you build, you get like 58% Pittsburgh. And then, yes, you get San Jose as well, but not as much Edmonton, which is somewhat interesting, actually. So let's go into my DraftKings, and I'll build at least part of the hand built lineup here. This was earlier. I'm totally changing this, but this looks pretty good, actually. Anyway, so I would just do San Jose. So let's just see what happens if you just cram the late night hammer here. Don't you love that? Like 10:30, you just pile them all in here, you know. So let's just pile them on. We have was it Couture, Hurdle, Barbanoff, Eklund, Carlson, and Zetterlund. Let's see. All these. I can't remember all these guys. Barbanoff, Zetterlund, and then a full 5-man maybe with paying up for Carlson. You want to do that? I mean, if you do this, I mean, you even have to do this. Now let's take a look at goalies for a second. Goalies, top-rated goalie I have right now is Ullmark, but he's 8,500. Is there anybody cheaper? Jonathan Quick at 7,900. Try that. Let's try that. Let's try Jonathan Quick. See that incredible analysis of goalies. Jonathan Quick, goalie. It's now 5,700. I mean, you could do a couple. You could play. Can't really play McDavid, but you could play some Pittsburghs along with this, maybe. You know, let's take a look and see who rates well. But you know what you could do? You could do a one-off of that. You could do a one-off of that Duchesne, who I liked, and then you could play. Well, Josie's a little bit expensive, but if you do a one-off with Duchesne, and you can play 6,000. You can't quite again get to McDavid or anything like that, but what you could do is instead of playing Carlson at defense, you could play Josie for Nashville. And again, I don't like usually spending up for defense, so maybe I won't do that. But you play, let's see, Couture, Hurdle, Barbanoff, Zetterlund, and forgive my pronunciation. Oh, Eklund was the one I wanted to play instead of Zetterlund. Yeah, Eklund instead of Zetterlund. Could play them both, but Eklund And it's a little bit cheaper as well. So what you could do is you could stack the Washington. You can make that work. I can go back. First of all, I can get back to Carlson. If I want to go a 5-man, you don't have to, but this is definitely fun, right? I could play Josie at 9K if I want to, but let's not do that. How about we play another from the Duchesne line? We'll play that 5-2. That could be fun. I don't know if I'm actually going to do this, but this is exactly the way I build. So, Josie, and then who else? Oh my God, nobody else in Nashville showing up. Cody Glass, that's who I'm going to have to play. So maybe that's not going to work. Kind of want to though. Maybe we just go with a couple of Pittsburghs. You play Malkin and something like that, and Letang. I guess that's probably wise. So you go back into Pittsburgh because you can afford it now, right? I mean, you go back into Pittsburgh, play Letang. Well, Letang is defense. Nah, this makes probably more sense. You play Letang and then pick your favorite. Pick your favorite Pittsburgh guy, but just I'm not gonna. I gotta remember not to completely finish this. But Gensel is 7,100. I mean that's and that's easy. And you can fill any 4,500 ball in there, whatever. We'll save somebody. It's the purpose of doing that, but we're not gonna play this. I'm just telling you. Or maybe we are. You just don't know. So. Velarde's always good, right? He's always a good late night guy to root for. So we'll just hold on to that, just for safekeeping. Okay, now let's go back to the NBA. Let's see what a build could look like if we were building by hand. So again, we're not just going to play all these values. So we're going to take a stand. Oh, we got some starters from Cleveland. Let me just see something. Mobley, Garland, LeVert is starting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do we like that? Do we like LeVert starting? That's a very interesting question. So let's do what what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the Griff. We're gonna do the Griff build. We're gonna go Shea, and we're gonna go. Oh my God, how can I play Dinwiddie at 7,800? Well, we'll do it. I mean, just to see. You want me to do FanDuel? I will, Clay. You got it. I'm not even playing there. I'm going to play. I'm going to do it. That's a good idea. So we'll go Shea, and then we'll go Dinwiddie. And then I guess the problem with all of this is that now all these guards. I mean, yeah, I don't think I could play Shea and Dinwiddie. I think you have to play. I guess you don't have to play Garland, but he's such a. I mean. It's either going to be Garland or LeVert going to go off? I mean, you could play 3 of these guys. This is the problem with the Shea Dinwiddie thing. I don't think you want to stack with the point guards. I think you want to because I think you do want to play one of these Clevelands. But instead of that, let's do. You know what, Eric? What was the other one we wanted to try? Okay, so let's try this one. All right, let's try this one. I don't think anybody's going to do this. We'll play Hayes. We'll play Killian Hayes at point guard, which is fine because we'll save room for what's his name. And we'll play who was our other favorite Detroit guy? It was going to be Amarori, right? If he was starting. So let's just presume he starts. We don't have that yet. But you play Hayes and Emery and no other ones. But then we play both Avdia, who plays at small forward, which helps. And then we're trying to build kind of like a value stack here. And then one of these expensive guys, though, either Porzingis or Beal. And again, I think we kind of more in the market for a guard later. So if we put in Porzingis here, then you could do all kinds of stuff, right? Now you can go play either Garland or LeVert. Put him in right here. You know what you could do? Oh, watch this. You could run this back with Rozier is not shooting guard. Crap. This is annoying. So Killian Hayes, this one makes a problem because you want these guards. That's going to be the problem. And that's why, by the way, that these guys later, maybe Lillard ends up low owned because of the Garland thing. You know what I mean? Because people will want to play Garland and or LeVert. There's not a lot of room for guards. So let's try this. Let's do this. Let's play the guards this way. 6:30. I'll play it. We got Garland, and then we'll play Rozier. And you know what else we'll do? Just for fun, we'll play Nick Richards. We'll play Nick Richards. So this will be the stack. We'll play and you know what else we'll do? What else we'll do? We'll play Mobley also. So we'll play Garland, Mobley. We won't play LeVert. We'll have two Charlottes. And then we could fill in with that. And you know what? If you want, now this is probably not advisable because of all the late stuff we're giving up, but you can fill out the rest of this with very reasonable value from this Washington game, you know, and save yourself some money for a pseudo stud a little later, like Hampton. If you want to play Hampton again, I mean, certainly nothing wrong with some of these scores. You play Hampton, then you have money saved. I mean, you could play stuff. You could almost play AD in this type of build. You know, so you're playing Cleveland and Charlotte. That's your main stack, your main idea. You're going to low own Richards, and you're playing both the studs from Cleveland. You're getting a little bit of value from Detroit, Washington, and you just have to kind of figure out how you want to deal with, you know, your favorite spends later. Like you could play one of these Phoenix guys like really easily, like if you want to, like play like an Ayton, and then you still have 6K. Like you can almost play kind of what might end up being a low-owned Wendell Carter Jr. Not exactly, but close. You know, or if you wanted to go back to that Josh Hart play that what's his name liked, that Bobby liked, you could do that. Or Trey Murphy, you know what I mean? Like if he gets ruled out, if what's his name gets ruled out, Ingram. So this could be something. So this way you play early, but you do save a couple of spots at least for later, and that is definitely something you could do. Just save it for now. We'll come back to that later. Okay, so let's do a FanDuel lineup. And I'll tell you this: if there's anything good still here, maybe I'll deposit and go on here. But okay, let's build here. 20K, no sweat series. We'll play for 25 cents. I don't even have 25 cents. That's pretty funny. All right, so let's just go in here and we'll just build.
What's up?
So again, we'll enter new lineup. And then we'll just going to pull up my sheets. Oh, there's Bobby.
Yep, I'm here.
I didn't have the volume up. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Nothing's changed yet, huh?
What happened?
Nothing's really changed in the last 45 minutes, right?
No, let me just finish what I was doing for Clay here and
Okay.
just hand build this fan. I'm not even playing, but I told him to do a FanDuel thing. So, I guess on FanDuel, I would probably once again just start with the Clevelands. So let's just say again that we'll start with, say, Mobley. We're going to use him at power forward, and then just because he shows up here more than on DraftKings, I'll put a Kogi in here. It's not usually a guy I want to play, but put him in here anyway. Best point guard. Where again, we're just making good plays for now, and then we'll figure out how to deal with it later. You know what I still want to do here? I still want to do the same thing I was just fiddling around with. Is play both these guys for Cleveland, and then just hope that we get big games out of the two Charlotte guys, out of Rozier, and I mean you could do Richards, but does PJ Washington play anymore?
PJ Washington? Yeah, he plays.
Does he play well?
I mean, what's his price on FanDuel? I'm trying to build my lineups here, so I'm not looking at your lineup. So what is his price?
6,800.
It's a little high for him, but it's probably okay on FanDuel.
Yeah, so let's do this. So it's the same thing. We'll play the.
If you're playing that type of stack, can I recommend that you do play Lamar Stevens? Like the reason you fade Lamar Stevens is because you're not stacking that game. If you're going to stack that game, he's the perfect filler piece.
So in that case, then we are
Washington. I'd play Rozier, and I probably would play personally. This is just me, or I would play. I probably would just play Rozier actually on FanDuel, but I think that you could play Oubre or Hayward also.
And Mobley at center is what I can do. Yeah. And so now you have 6,200 left. Ooh, it just says they added Eugene Amarori to the player pool. So nice of them. Yeah, they didn't have him there earlier.
He was there yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know when this note
so weird.
And shooting guards on. Okay, it's a little bit cheaper on FanDuel. See if that works. Is Michael Bridges a little bit.
Well, the drinking's probably not good. The drinking's not good.
And you can, and there's like guys you could play here. You could play. What else can you play at shooting guard over here? You could play. Levert. We've already played Lakogi. You could play what's his name over here. You could play Avdia here as well.
Yeah.
So again, it kind of builds itself. Same thing with I do like paying for the Cleveland and Charlotte guys, whatever. Yeah. So Brandon Cruz is asking a question.
I just wrote it in the chat. Exactly my thoughts. Tell me what you think of my thoughts.
Yeah. So if Brunson gets ruled out and it's Grimes, that would be a good play. Then Grimes okay, but Hart there, he won't play the morning 26 minutes loaded. Yeah. I think that I think Grimes would be okay, just like Bobby's saying. You know what I mean? Like I think he would just be okay though. I wouldn't intentionally rework all my lineups so that you have the opportunity to play Grimes if you know what I mean, if Brunson gets ruled out. So that would be my one caveat there.
Yeah, and he could play 30 minutes, but the truth is, even when he's done that, with the value we have tonight, and we know that Grimes can get there. We've seen him have those hot shooting nights, but there's a lot. He's the sixth option on their team. So him versus Stevens is kind of an interesting question, but Stevens will play more and is part of a game that you're stacking more. So that's the only reason why I would have Stevens ahead of him. But he is in the later game, so I have no problem if you're playing other later guys. I just don't think I'm personally on the Grimes thing tonight, but I'm totally okay with anybody who wants to. I think it is totally fine. I don't see him and Stevens as being that big of a separator. I do see Magruder, we have huge news that we haven't heard yet, which is whether Corey Joseph plays. Right?
That's huge. That's huge news?
Huge news is that means Detroit has 8 players, and you have to play 3 of them, in my opinion. So that's why it's huge news. Maybe you don't have to play 3 because there's other value elsewhere. But if he's out, which I think he's probably going to be, I think that's really, really hard not to play 3 for me.
What do you think about
Joe's in officially? Okay, good. I didn't see that. Sorry, my bad. He's in. That makes it a little bit easier.
What do you think of Levert starting as opposed to coming off the bench?
No problem. I knew he'd start.
I'm sorry?
I knew he'd start. He started it every time so far when Mitchell.
Oh, he is starting. I'm just asking you.
Yeah. So it's the same feelings I've always had. I think he's a good play and a scary fade.
Okay.
If you're going to do it, I think that I have some non-Levert lineups, but what I'm doing in those is like Rubio and Rubio and Mobley rather than Levert and Garland in a couple. But really, my higher buy-ins, I'm going to have Levert and Garland in most of them. and some with Mobley or Stevens as well, with running it back with like mostly Rozier, but some Gordon Hayward, some Nick Richards also.
Yeah.
Garland is the answer to MJ's question, but Dinwiddie is going to get lower ownership than he was early in the day. Like Garland, if you're not playing Garland, like that's okay, but I'm not looking for a pivot at the same price. I'll tell you that. Like Garland could put up 70 here. Dinwiddie's been really good, but like Garland put up like 75 the last couple of times, I think, like something crazy like that early in the year when Mitchell was out. And Kevin Love was there, like being gone also takes up some of the usage. So, I'm playing Garland. I think that Garland is actually being under projected.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Dinwiddie and Shea, I'm sure, but that's just, you're trying to run it back and you don't need to necessarily if you play Shea.
What becomes difficult?
Play Dinwiddie. Go ahead, Chiefs.
What becomes difficult with that, as I was mentioning earlier, is you want to play some guards, and if you use them,
hard to.
If you use Shea and Dinwiddie, it's becomes a little tricky.
Yeah. So I'm trying to go through and edit the last little pieces of my lineup and try to get some different things. I'm not going to be playing Buddy Boeheim, anymore, which I was going to do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw one Grimes in one of my cheaper ones because I actually think that's reasonable enough for sure. Grimes. And sorry I had to join late, guys, but I'm still trying to build, so I'm a little trying to play catch up ish. Over here. And let's see if there's anything else. LeVert, Garland. We have to remember also, Jared Allen being gone also does make a difference, especially when you put everybody's rebounding upside goes up higher. The minutes, obviously, the rotation, they're all going to play more. So it's not just Mitchell being out; it's both those guys being out that makes it so appealing. Did you got anybody around under 4,900 on DK?
Do I have anybody under
4,900?
I'm sure.
Like 4,900 range. Sorry.
Besides LeVert.
Yeah, he's a little cheaper, I guess. I guess Morris is probably the most viable, but I guess you really kind of want to rework things and get to that 5K because there's a lot of good guys at 5K.
Yeah. Did you like Vassell tonight?
It's fine. I still don't know who's playing in that game.
Right.
So it's and just with the Spurs as a rule in general, and especially this is a guard heavy slate, right? Like. We've got the Garland and LeVert, and then one of the Detroit. I think you're definitely playing one of Hayes or Hampton, and so you don't really only have at best one guard spot left. Are you using any guys from the later game sheets?
I'd like to. Because I don't want to be around if Lillard's ruled out with no.
I actually don't even think tonight it's gonna like Simons is not a better play than Garland is.
That's true.
Nurkic is not. Who knows what Nurkic's minutes will even be in that game? And also if he's able to go, he's playing. Period. So
yeah.
I don't. What's the? Let's see. What does Hayes mean? Clay Davis wrote Hayes, but I don't know what that means.
Killian Hayes or Jackson Hayes.
I'm guessing he means Killian, but I don't know if is it a comment? Is it a question? I'm not sure. Buddy Boeheim still with a pretty decent projection. Wow, that's really weird.
What was the deal with him?
Well, there's only 9 players available for Detroit on a back-to-back, and Corey Joseph is one of them. So it looked like it was going to be 8 players. So there was no, as we've talked about a million times, when you divide up those minutes, there's just no way for 3 guys not to get there. Now, will getting there be enough? Maybe not, but they're definitely going to get there.
Yeah.
There's now 9, so it's a little bit less like desperate. I have. Sheet, who are you spending? How'd you end up on your spend ups?
I don't know. I'm building right now. I'm probably going to end up doing something with the with the Giannis and somebody from the Phoenix game, just to have. But when I was building, I was like getting all these like mid range builds, like. And one time I did 150 when I was doing it for everybody else here, and I ended up with like 5% like Davis, 5% like Jokic. You know what I mean? Like everything, because you have like Mobley and what's his name and Garland, who are really strong.
Yeah. I'm playing Davis in my main lineup on DraftKings for what it's worth, and I'm also playing Julius Randle. I think the Knicks guys got a little bit overlooked today to spend ups. Like I think Barrett, Randall, Quickly are all really, really interesting plays.
Well, and especially if what's his name does get ruled out. I mean, like Barrett's going to be. I mean, Barrett at 7K is going to be pretty strong there.
Yeah.
Lamar Stevens. You like Magruder?
I'm playing him tonight just because the minutes are too secure.
Yeah.
Seeing if there's anything else that's come up. I'm not noticing anything. Ingram went through a full shoot around. That's actually helpful news to know.
It is helpful news to know.
It also means we don't have to worry about as much of playing CJ McCollum and all the other guys that we would have wanted to play. But I do think Ingram is in play. I just don't think I can prioritize him anymore the way I did early in the slate.
Right. Bless you. Bless you.
And I do like Killian Hayes. Yes, that's a yes to Killian Hayes. I think me and Cheats are both on the same page with Killian Hayes is completely fine on FanDuel. 7K is not a big deal. You just got to hope they stay kind of close-ish.
Yeah.
But RJ Hampton is I think what I would do, what I'm doing. Hampton's more of my priority today than the other. 2, 3, 4, 3, 9, 2, 10. If I go Jokic, Zinger, and this up. Why is that not working?
Play some Giannis Booker maybe, just because it seems impossible.
Did you end up with it? How much Nick Richards did you end up with?
I'm still building. I'm not sure yet. I'm forcing him into some, like in some stacks over there.
Yeah.
Lamar Stevens, he is starting. We knew that. You like Chris Paul tonight? Back-to-back's tough, but he didn't play that much.
He played, didn't he?
Played 31, maybe.
Yeah. I think he's reasonable. I think he's very reasonable. But I just like Dinwiddie and Garland so much better.
Right.
Okay, I'm giving one of my Omarui spots to the aforementioned Brendan Cruz, Quentin Grimes.
There it is.
Got to do a little bit of it.
Just so everybody knows exactly what I'm doing. So I'm doing exactly what I said. I'm going back to those games and matching kind of little mini correlations with wait, where's Phoenix? And then just kind of like letting the value just kind of filter in and the rest. So Knicks, Portland, I'm gonna get, boy, this Lillard thing. I don't know if he's gonna play, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I honestly don't think it matters as much tonight as some other slates that we've seen. But it still might matter. I mean, it's just like it's not like these guys are like yeah, Simons would be a good play. Everybody else, okay. Do I want to pay $7,500 for Grant? Okay. everybody's just fine. And even Simon's, like, he's 3-point shooting dependent. Like, I don't think that we have to go crazy over that.
No. Jaden Sharp starting, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't like him for some reason anymore. He's too flashy.
They want to do everything they can to protect him. He's like the one asset they really have.
I was going to say, he's too flashy with his amazing dunks.
He's so good, man. I mean, he's so talented. This is the number one guy in high school. And then he had some personal troubles and kind of got the best of him. One other guy who I'm going to play some of, who no one's really talked about today, but was really popular earlier in the day, was Devontae Graham.
Oh, okay.
And it also you have some help a little bit with the Spurs because they might sit some of these guys, so you might get a little more of a boost. I'm playing Nick Richards for what it's worth to MJ. I am playing Nick Richards in my big buy-in. I think it's a nice. Also, you get a little bit of a run back feel, to that game that we like.
Yeah.
So I am gonna do the Nick Richards. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you have to play Nick Richards. I'm just like, I'm playing him. Detroit. Yeah, so like my big 2v2 swap that I was debating between is, do I go Hampton and Randall or Barrett and Killian Hayes? I think it's Hampton and Randall for me, but I'll definitely have some of the other. All right, we're actually making it through, and I'm actually going to get my lineups in without having to freak out.
We'll see about that.
We got 8 minutes. It's a lot of time for something to happen. It's true.
We'll just see about that.
At least we got the starting lineups out. I like that Abdi is not starting. The thing that worries me is that they play Kispert a lot of minutes, and he's just like, ugh, would they really? Come on, they're gonna give up on Abdia? I think I'm playing Abdia anyway, but I'm not like locking Abdia in. That's for sure. I actually think Kispert is a pretty reasonable pivot.
Okay. I'm just gonna finish my hockey, and then I should be ready to go. Like 7 full minutes. Oh my god! I thought it was gonna be under a time crunch. Plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
Dinner's ready for me. Everything's running at clockwork right now. Looks good. That looks good. That looks really good. I like that lineup. Gotta like that.
Is there no one going to play Giannis tonight? Like,
oh, I'm playing more Giannis than the average person.
Okay, that's fair.
I will just say that. More than the average person.
I did build a nice lineup with Garland, Dinwiddie, and Shea that I kind of digging on right now. That's a sweet lineup, actually. Okay, let me just make sure my FanDuels are good.
6 minutes. Almost done with the hockey. Very nice. Very nice. I don't need any 2-2-2-2-2s.
I'm leaving. I have not going to change in my FanDuel. I'm going to do one pivot off of it because I've got it in multiple lineups that are similar, but I like this actually. It's built out nicely.
This looks nice. And we are almost done. Oops, not quite almost done. Team stacks. Let's put 20% of this. Looks good.
Oh, a third Giannis. Nice. Oh, a lot of people playing it.
What happened?
Thanks, Brandon. Good luck to you. Looks like a lot of people are playing Giannis. I'm MJ. I'm with you. I went with the Hampton Randall mix myself, but I am getting a little bit of the other. I'm making sure to get a little bit of the Barrett thing. I also have Josh Hart in a number of lineups.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot going on in the later slates except for Anthony Davis, and that's not even that late. That's 8-8. I don't have anything in the later game except for the Knicks. Yeah, if you can do it where you're putting it in your utility, trying to get like Barrett, but the problem is you can't on DraftKings because like the guards are so good earlier. But like if you did play quickly, one thing I like about playing quickly is like if Lillard's out, you just switch over to Simons.
All right, I am going. Dinner awaits, and I will catch up to you guys later.
All right, good luck.